Okay, so something big is brewing on Wall Street. A huge technological shift is on the horizon. And you know who's paying close attention? The top US financial regulator. Today, we're going to dig into a development that could fundamentally change how we all own a piece of a company. Let's jump right in. So, let me ask you a simple question. What if buying or selling a stock was as fast as, say, sending a text? What if the whole process, from the trade to the final settlement, happened almost instantly, instead of taking an entire day? Well, that's the big promise behind the technology we're looking at today. All right, so you can think of this as a potential massive upgrade for our financial markets. We're talking about something like moving from old-school dial-up internet to super-fast fiber optics, a total shift in the underlying infrastructure. But this isn't just about making things faster. It's about building a system that could be way more transparent, reduce a lot of the complexity, and maybe even cut out some of the middlemen. For you, the investor, that can mean lower fees and less risk. It's the vision of a market that's truly built for the digital age. And that, right there, is why regulators and financial giants are all paying such close attention. And that brings us right to the main event here. This isn't just some theoretical idea floating around anymore. Nope. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, is officially stepping in to take a serious look. Let's see how this is all shaping up. You might want to circle this date on your calendar, December 4th, 2025, because on this day, the SEC's Investor Advisory Committee is holding a public meeting that puts this technology right in the spotlight. That is a huge signal that this is being taken very, very seriously at the highest levels. And let's be clear, this isn't just some casual chat over coffee. The committee is formally investigating how this new technology, blockchain, could actually be integrated into the highly regulated world of stocks and securities that we have today. So what's on the agenda for this big meeting? Well, they're going to talk about corporate governance and AI disclosures, both really important topics for sure. But the part that really made us sit up and take notice is that third item, a dedicated panel just for tokenized equities. This is one of the most direct and public conversations the SEC has ever had on this subject. It's a big deal. Okay, so the SEC is holding this big meeting about tokenized equities. But what in the world are we even talking about? We've been throwing that term around, so let's hit pause and really break it down. At its core, the idea is actually pretty simple. You take a normal share of a company, think a share of Apple or Ford, and you create a unique, secure, digital version of it. That version is a token, and it lives on a blockchain. That token is your proof of ownership. Right, so a good way to think about it is like this. Imagine the deed to your house. It's that one legal document that proves you own the property. A tokenized equity is basically a digital deed for your stock, secured with powerful cryptography on a blockchain, which itself is kind of like a public record book that everyone can see but nobody can secretly change. And this chart really just lays it all out. Right now, your stock is basically just an entry in some private database somewhere. Settlement takes a full day, which they call T+1. With tokenization, though, you have a digital asset that can settle almost instantly. The transfer is way more direct, and because it's on a blockchain, the whole record of ownership is transparent and verifiable in a way the current system just isn't. But, and this is the multi-trillion-dollar question, it's exactly what the SEC is trying to figure out. Can you take this incredible new technology and make it fit safely and securely inside the rules of the U.S. financial system that have been built up over decades? That's the real challenge here. It's not just about cool tech. It's about making sure investors are protected and cybersecurity is rock solid. So you might be wondering, why are we doing a whole explainer on just one government meeting? Well, because the implications here could be absolutely enormous, sending ripples through the entire financial world. This quote really just says it all. People in the know are seeing this as way more than just another meeting. They're seeing it as a potential turning point, a moment where the regulatory path for the future of finance could really start to take shape. And just look at this chart for a second. It shows one of the biggest potential benefits so clearly. Today, it takes a whole business day for a stock trade to officially settle. A tokenized system could shrink that down to minutes, maybe even seconds. Think about that. It would free up a massive amount of money that's currently tied up and would seriously reduce risk across the entire system. So if this meeting leads to a clear path forward, here are 4 huge things that could happen. 1, we could finally get a clear rulebook for this stuff. 2, the big banks and investment firms who have been waiting on the sidelines for legal clarity, they might finally jump in. 3, the very plumbing of Wall Street could evolve. And 4, it could open up brand new ways for digital native companies to raise money in the US. So as we start to wrap this up, it's really important to put this meeting in perspective. This isn't the finish line, not even close. It's more like the starting pistol. And I want to be super clear about this. Nobody expects the SEC to drop a whole new set of rules on December 5th. That's not what this is about. This meeting is for exploration, for discussion, for analysis. It's about laying the foundation of knowledge that future regulations will be built on. This is step 1 of what is probably going to be a very long journey. Which leaves us with a really big question, right? Are we witnessing the dawn of Wall Street 2.0, a fundamental reimagining of our financial markets for a world that's digital first? Well, the conversations happening on December 4th are going to give us our first real clues. Thanks for diving in with us.